Now we hear about his soft side. A couple of examples of his soft side are dealings with Ramananda Roy. Ramananda Roy, again, according to social etiquette, he was just a Shudra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a sannyasi, and on top of that, he was a Brahmana, Brahminical family. These two don't mix usually in this context. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met with Ramananda Roy, embraced him, they talked, and accepted Ramananda Roy as a teacher, because Ramananda Roy instructed him. Socially, this is not really, this doesn't go at that time. And second time, I think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Govinda were in the Jagaran temple, and there was one lady, it was darshan time, there was one lady, just wanted to see Lord Jagannath, and because I guess she was much shorter, she was small, so she stepped on the shoulder of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and climbed on Garuda's pillar. And then Govinda saw this, he said, "Oh, you, come down," pulling this woman. It's a great offense. What are you doing? He's a sannyasi, you're not supposed to touch him. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said the language that he used, "Oh, you crude man, you're gross man. Oh, how can you do this? Look at this lady, so devotional. If only I could have such devotion." So we see these two sides. And one side is very harsh, very, very harsh, especially the example of Chota Haridas. And then the other side, being soft, allowing a woman to step on his shoulder, embracing Ramananda Roy. So we hear, and there are two important considerations here. One is dharma, and one is paradharma. How can we explain this behavior? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives a very nice example, and Prabhupada quotes this example about how a devotee should behave in the world, what the attitude we should take in behaving in this world. Originally it's from Chaitanya Charitamrita, but if you read Introduction to Bhagavad Gita, you can find this example, how a devotee behaves. Somebody knows this example, what I'm kind of thinking. Which is a very funny example in a religious context, but it's not so much the example, but the principle was behind. It's Introduction to Bhagavad Gita.
So Prabhupada is saying someone should carry out his house duties.
Yeah?
Like he gives an example of a woman who's married but then she has another or something, she carries out her duties with extra care and attention so as not to be...
Excellent. That's the example given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's just in a religious context giving this as a vow. Saying, a woman might be married, well, she is married, but she has a lover. What she will do? She will just serve and clean the house and cook even more diligently, so only the husband will not kind of suspect that she has somebody else. I guess the man will do the same thing, but it's easier. Men will be, it's because men are so bad at this thing. They will be. Women can do such a thing, but men, they cannot. So they will be discovered very quickly. But you see that because she has a lover, she's committed to somebody else. Her heart is somewhere else. But still, and because of that, she's more diligent. So in the same way as a devotee, and that's paradharma. Our loyalty and our commitment, our devotion is to God only. That's our loyalty. We are not, in a way, from the ultimate point of view, we're not obliged to follow the rules of the state, tax, vote, and all this stuff. That's from an ultimate point of view. All this is Maya, from an ultimate point of view. But from the position where we are in now, because that's our social environment, we still have to follow that. And this is what Prabhupada is saying, unfortunately, as long as we are within this material world, we must observe social customs to avoid criticism by the general populace. So each one of us has certain rules or certain social conventions that apply to him or her. We have certain duties to perform, which perhaps are not always, we can say, Krishna Bhakti. Like when you go to work, you have to show on time, you have to show that you're working, you have to work, you have to pay your taxes to the government, you have certain duties. When you go to school, you study, you go to exams, you follow rules and regulations. You have to do that. That's normal. Can you imagine what would people say if just kind of you will? And that was the attitude somehow in the early days. Like I was hearing some stories of early days when devotees were saying about driving in a wrong direction in a one-way street, saying, we don't have to obey Kamsa's rule. It doesn't apply to us. We are just transcendental. Stealing flowers for the deities. No, we're just transcendental. Just doesn't apply to us. We can just do whatever we want. No. That's again the same principle that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving here in this example. It's a very important example for us to follow. No. We are obliged to follow. And there's a certain balance that we understand why these rules are there and why we should abide by them. There's another example of Nityananda in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Nityananda's case is very much different than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nityananda, okay, some say he formally took sannyas, and some say he didn't, but he was avadut. The technical term that was used was Turyatita avadut, means one who's beyond the fort, meaning one who's even beyond sannyas. He was avadut, beyond sannyas. But he was a sannyasi, a renunciant for some time, and then what did he do after?
Get married.
He got married. And not only one wife, but two. So how do you reconcile all this? What do you do with that? So again, in dealing with this kind of, we can say, controversies, this kind of issues, Shukadeva Goswami, when he speaks about Krishna's behavior in 10th canto, he says that great personalities can do whatever they want. He says just they can do whatever they want. He was Balaram. But again, you see that. You can say, Nityananda did it, I can also do it. What's the... Yeah, Nityananda did it. Yes, he was a Vaishnava. I'm just following him. So again, you have to see Anukara and Anusara. What's the principle there? Imitating or following? And you see, in our line, when you see how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very strict, I did a dissertation on sannyasa and Chaitanya Vaishnava tradition, or Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. So you see, after the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sannyas, and after Rupa Goswami and the Goswamis, all this sannyas thing died very much. There was no formal sannyas. Everybody was just a Babaji, more or less. Somebody who wanted to renounce the world was just becoming a Babaji. But what was happening then in 18th or 19th century, when somebody just couldn't make it in the material world, would just become a Babaji, meaning he or she would put just a loincloth, just white thing, which is called bek or vesha. And he would just start begging, And oh, if you couldn't make it, you just become a Vaishnava. And then they would, on pretense of this, they would just do various abominable activities. They would just, I don't know, they would have many mistresses. And the whole tradition became very disrespectful. And then, actually, sannyas was, you can see all this, you have brahmacharis wearing shafran, that's a new thing. Only